Scarfoot celebrating the fact that once again the Onesti Entertainment Group is having Akin with George Lynch at the Arcada in St. Charles, Illinois on Friday, June 13th.
Oh, there you go. So,
and
I know where you'll be Friday, June 13th.
Yeah, of course. And then apparently George Lynch on his quote unquote his last ride tour with Lynch Mob, they're out at the Arcada tonight playing.
Okay.
So,
you know what's weird about that, real quick? It's just weird that you brought this up because out of sheer curiosity, if nothing else, I went back and listened to that Babylon record, the last one that Lynch Mob did.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I was literally sitting I was looking for something to listen to. And I was like, I know that I've listened to this, but I cannot for the life of me remember anything of it.
Right.
Like I looked at the song titles, I didn't know any of them. Like usually I'll be like, oh yeah, that's that song, or there was a video for it. I didn't remember any of them. So I listened back to it again. It's actually not that bad. I think it might have been overly hard.
It's just that it lacks something.
It lacks only Logan. Swagger.
Yeah. I mean, Gabriel's a nice kid and he's he does a decent job as a vocalist and all. But I don't know the Babylon. I don't know if it was the production or it just didn't have any punch. It didn't grab you at all.
Yeah.
It was bland.
Well, I have to say, I'm just going to suggest, I'm not going to tell you, but give it another listen with fresh ears now that you're away from it a little bit.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, I know I listened to it before, and like you said, it was completely unmemorable. I literally didn't remember a track title from it. But I went back and listened to it, and yeah, it wasn't that bad. And that last tune, the actual Babylon song, pretty damn good.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it was bad. I thought, it sounded like George Lynch, doing classic Lynch Mob style music. But it just it kind of left me empty, kind of the way that Metal Church Weight of the World.
Sure.
It's a Metal Church record and it sounds like Metal Church, but it was just underwhelming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you listen to Light in the Dark, which was the follow-up, and that thing just punched you in the face.
Right.
So you just gotta wonder what is the element that's missing? Is it the production? Is it the actual songs? Is it the I don't think it's the songs, and I don't so much think it's the performance. I just think it has something to do with maybe the mix, or I don't know. It just needs something to grab you.
I just think that Gabriel, and I don't know him at all.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I like him. Very friendly guy. I've hung out with him.
I think he's one of these guys. He's one of these guys that sings the notes but doesn't have the attitude. Like he can sing the notes perfectly.
Right.
Kind of reminds me in a weird way of what's his name, Brett Carlisle from Great White. Can sing the notes.
Yeah.
And hit any note that's in the register.
But he doesn't make it his own.
Yeah. Well, it's not his own because it's not. It's
right.
Jack Russell's.
But he doesn't ingratiate it into his thing. You might as well be a proficient karaoke singer.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going on. And again, I have not seen the show. I've watched a couple of videos and I've heard the album. And all I'm saying is that I did check out the album again this week, and it was a decent listen. I'm not saying that it was terrible, but I'm not saying it was awesome. I'm saying it was better than I remember. Right. Because I don't remember anything.
Right.
So,
well, I did that recently with Dawkins' Hell to Pay.
Okay.
That came out in 2004.
Yeah.
It was the first album that John Levin played on.
Yeah.
And when it came out, I was kind of lukewarm on it, only because it just it lacked the harmonies that the original Dokken lineup, the Jeff Pilson and Mick Brown harmonizing with Don.
Sure.
So it was just sort of Don's solo, just solo vocal, really no
it's harmony. Like Long Way Home, sort of.
Yeah, no backgrounds, no nothing. So I wasn't really hot on that. I mean, I played it, listened to it, stuff, but it just wasn't one of those standout records for me.
Sure.
But then recently, here we are 20 years later, I decided, I'm gonna go re-listen to this. Okay. And as far as like the songs are concerned, there's some pretty deep songs there. And if I don't imagine it to be a classic Dokken record and just kind of think of it as a Don Dokken solo record.
Yeah.
I absorbed it a lot differently this time around,
Sure.
And it was just like, wow, there's some pretty deep lyrics there, some introspective stuff that I missed the first time around.
Sure. Well, some of those songs between that album and what was the one after, Broken Bones?
No, Long Way Home was after, or no, not Long Way Home, but what was after Hell? It might have been Broken Bones. You might be right.
Yeah. Those two records, they just didn't feel like the classic stuff. So
no, it was.
So
it was
I think we both kind of
it was kind of a more of a Don Dokken solo effort.
Yeah. And there are good songs. Like I mean, I haven't listened to either of those records in years.
The follow-up was Lightning Strikes Again.
Lightning Strikes Again, that was good.
Then Broken Bones.
Yeah, that was good. But I can say even Hell to Pay, which I'm on record. I think I even told John Levin I didn't like some of it. But
yeah, well, it was the Don's vocals were very loud.
Yeah,
they were really in the forefront, and John's guitars was kind of like buried a little bit. Yeah. And I think that record could probably benefit from a remix.
Sure. I just remember here on the show, I told John I didn't like the song. What was the song, Liar or something?
Well, you didn't like Broken Bones because you didn't like Blind.
Yeah. And he still brings it up to me.
Yeah, that was the song Blind.
Yeah, and I guess that was like one of his favorites, and I said I didn't like it. He still brings it up. It's fucking 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Or
you go, I wish it was Death. I think you made some kind of comment like that. I wasn't digging that song Blind. I wish it was Death.
Right. Too good. But well, since we're talking about music and bad music, you want to play some bad music?
Sure. Well, let me tell you one quick story before we move into this. Speaking of telling people about their songs that you don't like.
Yeah.
So, back when Great White got signed with Portrait Records, same thing with Rat. They got signed with John Kalodner's imprint, Portrait Records, and Rat released that self-titled disc, and Great White released Can't Get There From Here. Right. Yeah, and so both those records came out pretty close to each other about the same time. So Don, was recording Long Way Home at his studio at Total Access Studio in Redondo Beach, right? So he invited me to come down to the studio, and at the time I was dating Kelly. Remember Kelly?
Yeah, I remember Kelly.
All right, so we went down to the studio, and that Great White record had come out, and Don co-wrote some of the songs on that record. And there was a song called Wooden Jesus.
Yeah.
And Don, I think, wrote most of that song, if I'm not mistaken. And so that record had just come out. We were sitting there talking, and Don said, he says, "What are you guys listening to recently?" And I said, "Yeah, we're listening to the latest Great White, that Can't Get There From Here and stuff."
Right.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, what do you like on that? Is there anything on there you like?" And Kelly was like, Well, I'll tell you one song that I really don't like is that song Wooden Jesus.
It's great.
But she didn't know.
Yeah, of course not.
And it was just kind of funny. And I said, you know, Don wrote that song, right? And she goes, he did, you know, but it's just funny that, you know, out of ignorance, you just flat out just say, I don't like that song.
Well, but, you know, and this is for any artist, not just the Dokken boys who we know, but most of the time, these guys actually appreciate the honesty.
Sure.
They hate when you kiss their ass.
Yeah, you give them the yes man.
Because let's face it, and here, we'll pull the curtain way back for all these damn bands. They know some of these songs aren't very good. They know.
Yeah.
They know which 4 are great, which 3 are average, and which 2 are bad. They know. But they got contractual obligations to give a 10 or 11 song album, so they do. And and man, if you come up to if you say to one of these guys, because you're in ass kiss mode, and it's just a total throwaway, shitty song, they just know you're a lying piece of shit. If you say, oh yeah, you know, and it's always like the second here's another one I'll just give away to the fans. The second to the last song on every record is usually the least favorite of the band. Not the last one, because they try to end strong so that you'll buy the next record. But the second to the last is usually the one that is the weakest song. The weakest in the band's mind. I've found that every time I've ever asked a band about that, they've said that. And it's almost always true.
Yeah, it's kind of buried in the running, you know, the running order.
It's deep enough that they're hoping most reviewers won't call that song out.
Right.
They're hoping that they'll get the first 5, maybe the last track, and that's it. That's what they're hoping for. It's part of the game.